Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting. My name is Tim Ormond, and I'm serving as chair. This is our May 15th, 2024 meeting. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. Members of the public are also welcome to listen to the meeting live here in the conference room in City Hall. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. The public had an opportunity to provide public comment via email or voicemail. Any comments submitted in advance have been provided to committee members and will be linked in the meeting minutes. On today's agenda, there will be one opportunity to provide public comment at the end of the meeting. For those of you out there with us, including all of our adoring fans in TV land, we welcome you. I will now go through and introduce all committee members who are participating here in person. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Michael Totten.
Hello.
Christy Holbert.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Christy.
Ashley Case.
Hello, everyone.
Justin Young.
Hi.
And Alicia Goldstein.
Hello.
And Sophie Mullinex.
Hello.
Thank you all. We also have Maggie Ullman, our City Council liaison. Welcome. And our staff members from the Sustainability Office, Bridget Herring,
Hello.
Kiara Boulan,
Hi, everybody.
and Chris Clark. Hello. Thank you, everybody. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud and do a vocal roll call for each vote. Additionally, I ask that committee members raise their hand to speak, and I will call upon you. Okay, our first item on the agenda is approval of our March minutes. Is there any discussion or questions about the meeting minutes? And if not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll approve the minutes.
Thanks. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, and we'll just do an up or down vote on this one. All in favor of approving the March minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. That takes us to item 2, updates. We're going to start with our working group updates. And our first update is for the Waste Reduction Working Group by Ashley Case.
Thanks. Waste Reduction Working Group actually met 2 times since the last time we saw you all. And one of them was an emergency meeting for the Less Plastic Asheville Proclamation, where we just reviewed the proclamation, made recommendations on it, mostly focusing on, it was already focusing on, but helped with some of the language around acknowledging the negative effects on land, water, community health and well-being, as well as it really focused on urging government entities and private businesses to forego single-use plastic and polystyrene. And it was approved in the April meeting for Council. Maggie, you read it right there, so it's very exciting. And then we also toured the recycling center in Woodfin, and it was very informative. They have a huge system going on there, and they're very efficient. We're very impressed. So if you haven't had a chance to tour your local MRF, check it out because it's very interesting. And then upcoming events that we have going on actually this week is with Alex Miller, who's here today, and they're holding the second free store with Asheville City. And so
The second what?
The second free store with Asheville City, so where donations are being collected through this week, tomorrow as well. If you have any donations, you can bring them to the Wesley Grant Community Center, and then a free store will be held on Friday evening and Saturday throughout the day where people can come and they can shop for free. And it's really awesome to see this event happening again with Asheville City. And it seems like so far really positive, a lot of stuff coming in and positive feedback. So if you have any chance to volunteer, anybody, we appreciate you. So, that's all.
All right, thank you, Ashley.
I actually have a question about your visit to the recycling center. Did you witness their notorious having to shut off the machine because of plastic bags?
I think they did have to, well, it might have been a lunch break, actually, when they had to redo it. But we did witness where they had some machines going down. That would, I would say that would probably be the biggest mission or message to get out to people, is not to put your bags, your disposal or grocery bags in the recycling. And then one of the things that I was really, I think they do an amazing job there. And some other things that I was really shocked about is a lot of things that I put in the recycling is not recyclable. So in terms of plastic, right? They're really great as with glass and aluminum, but there's only a couple plastics, mostly like jugs and tubs in the plastic world, that we can actually reuse and within like a 5-hour radius of Asheville. So they're not going to ship it across, to a manufacturer in California that might use it. It has to be utilized within our local region. So that was interesting to learn. Just there's a demand for industries that can reuse this material, as well as there's a demand to reduce the amount of stuff that the amount of disposable plastics that we're consuming. Thanks.
Any other questions for Ashley? And if not, we'll go to our second working group, Community and Climate Resilience. Steve Barron, Vice Chair, couldn't be here today. So Justin, were you going to be able to do an update?
I did not prepare anything.
Okay.
Did not realize that would be me.
Okay. There was an email that went out earlier today, but obviously you didn't get it.
Yes, I've
Okay.
been with children all morning.
Good.
Students, yes. Yes. Not my personal children.
Well, I'm a member of that working group, and we haven't met. Steve has had some surgery, and I think we've canceled a couple of times, but we hope to meet before our next meeting.
Okay. Thank you both. So that takes us to our third working group, Stormwater and Green Infrastructure, and Alicia is going to give that.
Yes, so we recently met and we got a little update that the stormwater fee study is on pause due to staff limitations by the city, and so that effort is not ongoing right now. And then we talked a lot about we've been trying to help do technical assistance for some of the community neighborhood grants. We had one person submit a project. They were clearly thought out and didn't need any help. And the other project we're working through right now is a sinkhole in Inca that's near stormwater infrastructure. And we're working with them to determine what their needs are before we propose any ideas for their open space where the sinkhole is occurring.
Thanks, Alicia. Could you tell us a little bit more about the technical assistance program?
Okay, so let's see if I can call. I think it's $5,000. Is that correct? The grant money that the city will allow, and it has to go to a community organization on public space. And anyone in the community can apply for this grant for a variety of purposes. We are specifically providing assistance for anyone who wants to do some sort of stormwater project, be that a rain garden, any retention. We've gotten some requests for pollination, although that doesn't really require that much effort on our part. And then also looking at other opportunities to infiltrate any stormwater from just pushing it straight into the river.
Thanks. And how would one go about seeking that technical assistance here?
There is a city website that you can find if you Google search for it, where there's an application that one can submit where you write a paragraph, and if it is something that is stormwater related, the city staff will send it to our stormwater working group, where we can contact you and provide any technical assistance you need.
And it's the Neighborhood Matching Grant Program.
Yes. Thank you. I have no further questions for the witness. That takes us to item 2B, Sustainability Department Update, to be given by Bridget.
Sure. So I included a memo in the agenda for everybody to view, and it has a number of things in it. So I'll take questions on anything. I just want to draw your attention to one thing, that we are currently, through Conserving Carolina, accepting applications for an AmeriCorps Fellow for next year. So applications will be accepted through the end of the month. So please share that opportunity with your network and anyone who might want to hang out and learn about local government and sustainability.
Thanks.
Justin?
Is this a Project Conserves, Climate Corps? Which type of AmeriCorps position is this?
So it's unknown. We applied for the Climate Corps, but I guess it's unknown whether or not that's going to happen again. And so everything's out under the umbrella of Project Conserve. So Riverlink also has a number of positions on there, as well as Mountain True, Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy,
Arboretum.
the Arboretum.
Yeah, a lot of big ones.
Right, so it's on the Conserving Carolina website, because they're the fiscal sponsor for the program, but they're still waiting to see if there's going to be funding in that bucket or not,
Gotcha.
is my understanding.
I think that's correct.
Any other questions?
If no questions, we're 15 minutes ahead of schedule. I don't think that's ever happened before. That takes us to old business number 3, item A, Electrify ABC demo with Ken Halden and our very own Sophie Mullinex from Bright Spaces.
Thank you.
It's the true test of the technology. There we go.
Cool, make that just a touch bigger. Cool. I'd like to be joined by my colleague here, Ken Halden. Do you want to come stand up here with me?
Sure.
Cool. Don't leave me hanging. We were just talking, I think this is the third time that we've talked about this formally with this group, and we're really happy to be able to bring a really substantive update. That being, we officially had our launch on Earth Day of this year. Kind of had a rolling soft launch of stakeholder engagement and previews and demos up until that point, but we are live and we are having activity in our program and learning and listening and iterating and trying to continuously make it better every single day. But just a brief review of what Electrify Asheville-Buncombe is all about. It's a pilot program supported by the City of Asheville and Buncombe County to promote household electrification here. Kick it to Ken.
Sure, and as Sophie mentioned, this has been in development for a while. Great to be back with you for the third time. But that's given you all some insight into both the concept and then its development as we kind of progressed. I don't think we had a live website ready for you to show last time we were together. And I was looking back at some notes, and we were still kind of dealing with the platform readiness. We were dealing with some of the Clean Energy Fund work that was getting done that we couldn't kind of go out into the public until that was ready and set. And then, of course, everybody's readiness to distribute an Earth Day was chosen. I think it was really a great window for us to be in. So what this slide shows is just a reminder that this is part of a bigger movement that's occurring around the country, and the Rewiring America effort is really strong and has a great presence, and they're doing some interesting ground level work. But we really have something that ties explicitly to this, and I think takes it into another community level that isn't occurring elsewhere. Really proud of it. Next.
What's your name?
It's Ken Halden, H-A-L-D-I-N.
I
I'm with the group here that's putting this together, Electrify Asheville-Buncombe.
And I'll just remind everybody to try to talk into the microphone so
I'll move
that
over.
the people watching on YouTube can hear as well.
Absolutely. So with that, just to kind of recap again, since we have been together before, this is meant to cover a bunch of things that need to be covered in the climate space as well as in the healthy living space. So making homes more comfortable and resilient, dealing with some of the air quality issues that stem from using fossil-based appliances in your homes. The efficiency of heat pumps is miraculous, and the more we can deploy, the quicker we'll get to some real change in the climate. And then obviously, from a consumer perspective, there's some efficiencies on your bill and some savings that can occur. So all that is sort of what's behind all this. The program has a number of elements, and we've gone through these before because we could always just talk about what we intended to do, but now we're here to talk about what's getting done. Calls to action, letting people know this is out there, education, awareness, information, spawning more information, creating the marketplace, which has been accomplished, financing that the Clean Energy Fund is providing, which is an amazing thing for Asheville to have relative to being the first in the state where they're deploying the Green Bank approach. Other incentive opportunities, we are ahead of a lot of the federal rebates that will be more available and accessible next year, but it's nice to be in a place where we can already begin to guide people and think about where those incentives are going to come from. And the whole electrification journey, which is part of the effort to take people through which things should I do first. And that's really the basis for a lot of this, is where do I turn? There's a lot of things you can do. One of the things I want to bring up, and then Stacy's going to go, or Sophie's going to go through the particulars, is 13 contractors have been onboarded. So local, regional, all serving the community who decided to do this. So in their favor, this is something that's voluntary. They don't have to do this. Stepped on board. 20 different solutions. That means more than just heat pumps. There's some other things. The emphasis is on heat pumps. But 20 different solutions or resources are available within it. And then as of Monday, we had something like 99 consumers already enrolled in the very short time we've been out there. So with that, to walk you through the particulars, Sophie.
Yeah, some of those were really excited people who might have pre-enrolled. But yes, 99 is great. I'm sure it's over 100 by now. Thanks, Ken. And just before I launch, thank you, Maggie. Thanks for the excitement. Before I just show you, so we've talked about this for a long time, but before I show you like what we have built and what it looks like and what is now accessible to our community, the overarching goal, I think, for me and this type of work that our company does is to just really demystify the process of taking action that's climate positive, that aligns with community-wide clean energy goals, whether that's here in Asheville or in other cities that we happen to work in. And I think we're really proud of where it is today. Also, we know that it is a pilot and there's plenty of work that could be done. And we're always open to hearing feedback. And Steve, who couldn't be here today, sent along some really great feedback that I appreciated so much. All right, so switching to what you see when you go to our marketplace is what we're calling. So you can access this through Electrify by navigating to electrifyabc.com. And I'm not doing this live because sometimes this kind of takes a long time and I have to like do an email verification. So I've screenshotted part of it, but then I'll go to the live site. So you would click on sign up or log in or electrify now on electrifyabc.com, and that takes you to these screens where you would either log in or create an account. And if you're a contractor, you could click on this contractor button if you're interested in joining as a participating contractor, and that would route you to this contractor sign up area where we would then, our team would receive an application or a notification that a contractor wants to join Electrify Asheville Buncombe, and we would reach out and do vetting and talk to the contractor, ensure they're on board, and then enter into an agreement with that contractor and get them on our website. So just going back to signing up as a community member, the first thing it takes you to, once you do an email verification, is making an energy profile. And this takes maybe 5-10 minutes, and you enter in your address, because the site does some geolocation, some demographic information just about your home, how big it is, what year it was built approximately, the types of fuels and energy used in your home, your goals for engaging with this platform. And then you are taken to a dashboard which gives you a score, and we have an area that tells you how to understand your energy profile score. We didn't just make these numbers up. We have done some work with a firm out of Georgia called GreenLink Analytics that looked at energy use data, our fuel mix here in Asheville and Buncombe County, Duke Energy utility rates, et cetera, to get really dialed in estimates of the types of energy and bill savings you could see were you to go from, say, a gas furnace to a heat pump, or from a gas stove to an induction range, et cetera. So here's where I think I'm going to go live. All right, ready? There we go. Look, there we go. So this is the actual live web page of that dashboard. So if you were to read this area, this is based on the responses that you give in your energy profile. These are recommended solutions that are available to you and recommended on the platform. So clicking into any one of them will take you to a page where you could then be connected to one of our participating contractors who provides that solution, installation, or service. So an energy audit is something that we really recommend because it gives you a baseline understanding of the systems in your home and areas for improvement and what to prioritize in a really diagnostic, technical way that a layperson can't do without the blower door diagnostic tools that these folks who are highly trained have. So we always recommend that people start there, and so this is just an example, or this is actually live, of the contractors in our community. There's two right now called Conservation Pros and Energy Home Inspection who offer energy audits in our community. So going back to the dashboard. Oh, and if I were to click on one of these, for example, the diagnostic energy audit, you get a little blurb of what the contractor describes is the service that they offer, and then a little bit of information about the company, where they're located, any reviews. We don't have any reviews yet because not a whole lot of work has happened through the platform. But here you can also message a contractor directly through the platform to start establishing, like, hey, I would like to get a quote for an energy audit at my apartment, and then your contractor would have all of your information from your energy profile as well as your address to be able to start engaging in that kind of service. So going back to the dashboard. You could do that for every single recommendation here. We also have an area of the site that is what is electrification, because when people say electrification, they might not really know what you're talking about. Electrifying just vehicles, electrifying what, but here we try to drill down into what electrification means in this kind of context and why we should do it. So that's a resource area of the website. And then clicking on resources on the top gives you more insight into the types of solutions that we're recommending. And clicking into any one of these gives you more information on what they are, as well as the available incentives, rebates, tax credits, et cetera, available for them. And then one unique thing about Electrify Asheville Buncombe is that we are the first official partner with the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund, thanks to Buncombe County offering up a $100,000 loan loss reserve to buy down the interest rate to offer this really accessible, competitive, straightforward financing for clean energy. This never existed in North Carolina until now, which is really exciting. So now you can get a really trustworthy, no gimmicks loan from Self-Help Credit Union through the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund to cover projects from $2,500 to $50,000, and you can bundle services. For example, if you were to get a new heat pump and you needed to upgrade your electrical panel, you could bundle in those electrical services and get a loan for the whole thing. And the interest rates vary, and they're also reassessed every 6 months. So we're really excited about that.
First loan this past week, a loan has gone out and been processed. So a person got a solar
Heat pump, hot water heater.
Heat pump, hot water heater.
Yep.
Through the process.
Let's see. And so the whole idea is to offer, financing that's better than simply putting your heat pump purchase on a credit card, which has very high fees, and offering a loan that previously did not exist in this space to enable clean energy upgrades for houses for electrification purposes. And then the last thing I wanted to show you before we go back to our slides is just information for contractors. And this is an area where I think we have just so much work we could do. I feel like every day I'm reaching out to a new contractor to tell them, what this is all about, why, you might want to participate. We're hopeful that as our area HVAC and plumbing energy efficiency contractors learn more about the program and they see their competitors up there, they'll want to participate because it's free to participate. And get leads this way that we hope will be really warm and also convert into actual projects. So just information about the benefits of joining this sort of platform versus something like Home Advisor or Angie. So that's the demo, and then going back to our presentation, I'll kick it back over to Ken here.
And speaking of contractors being engaged, we've got a lot that are going to come out for this event that's going to happen on June 8th here locally and at the AB Tech Mission Center. And we're getting geared up for it. It's a lot of work to put on a event like this, but it's another tangible way. You know, online is great, and we can communicate through the airwaves and whatever ways we can, kind of virally and through our community relationships. But having an event where you can kind of see, touch, and feel things, we think is going to be beneficial to bring this to life. So we've put a lot of effort over the coming weeks into being ready on June 8th to showcase in a one-day, one-way circumstance where we've got from 11 to 5 to drop in and check out some things that are learning opportunities and just to sort of see, touch, and feel. That's at the AB Tech Mission Center, Conference Center, the building on AB Tech campus.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yep. So that's happening now in terms of producing it. And by the time we get to that day, we'll have product demonstrations, some giveaways, ways to kind of see how the things that we're talking about in the online world physically happen. There's some learning opportunities. Going to have a panel session. So it doesn't matter what time you come, you're going to get something when you go. There's also going to be the EV Club and EV bikes, a tiny home that's totally solar powered. A lot of things you can do to kind of learn a little bit when we get together in terms of what's under this all electric umbrella. So we're excited. Please share the information. You have a flyer there. We can get more. There's plenty of online information about it too in terms of promoting it. And I've got flyers as well to give to everyone. So thanks for your time on this. And really, the more you can share this with your networks, the greater that sign up and enrollment number will click up. So we're already very happy to be in triple digits, but we want it to be in a lot more digits. So thanks. Questions?
Yeah, let's open it up to questions. Justin?
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful presentation, really cool program and opportunity. I'm wondering if there's any opportunity or if you all have explored possible benefits of connecting with real estate organizations, agents who could then direct new home buyers to this sort of program. Feels like the homes that they were buying might be really good fits for this sort of work to be done.
Yes, that's been on the radar, and when I was sat in Jamie's seat back in my old job, that was something that we tried, I think, with varying success. I think realtors are asked to do a lot of outreach, at the time of a sale, and some things get lost in the shuffle, but that's a great reminder. Maybe we can get in touch with some of our greener realtors to push this message out. Thanks.
Michael?
Yeah.
So anybody should sign up for this, even if you don't need a loan or if you don't need an audit?
Oh, no, anybody, yeah. I've been referring everybody to it, even just to poke around and see if you can break it, because I know that there's some things on there that might not be 100% smooth and perfect, but the only thing that is just for Buncombe County residents is the financing. Because right now that loan package from the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund is just for Buncombe County residents.
I see. So in the electric car option,
Are we selling cars? Is that what you're asking?
Are you arranging with electric car dealers or?
Down the road, I hope to. Yeah, we hope to have everything that is currently fossil fueled but should be plugged in available on the website. And ideally, there would be like a hookup between, or a tax incentive or a local rebate or a tax rebate for that, for those objects.
That sounds great. One other question, it recommends I should get a heat pump clothes dryer. Do you have any experience with those?
I am about to buy one, actually. Yeah, so I will. I'm renovating my house. You love it. I'm just the case study over here. So I'm going all electric. Yeah, it's great. They don't need a vent to the outside, so your building envelope is tighter. They use about 30 to 40% less electricity because they recycle the heat. They take a little bit longer to dry. I don't really care about that.
But that no vent means it's safer too.
Yeah.
No vent to clean.
Yeah.
Terrific.
They are more expensive, but there's a tax credit.
So for the credit union, are they also including solar panels for for their loans?
They're studying it now, that's my understanding. It wasn't native to the offering that they wanted to come out of the gate with, which is heat pump focused. But I think the update we heard Monday was that they're going to take a look at that so that they can start to add those products in. That's my
Yeah,
understanding.
so green lending is relatively new to a lot of financial institutions, including CDFIs, and so
I think I got that right.
because the heat pump is the focus of the program, when reaching out to this partner, and it's tied to the loan loss reserve that Buncombe County created, we focused on this as the creation, so I think they will look into that, and we'll see more of those opportunities coming on as the Solar for All opportunity comes out in the world. That's a whole different conversation, but it's not available right now.
Thank you. I had one other question also. I was curious, so I've heard that mini splits are a lot more efficient than larger heat pumps, but I've also heard they're not usually financed as easily or as well. But I was curious, what's been your experience with that, and if you know, will they also finance mini splits?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Oh, yeah. A heat pump,
Okay.
a heat pump is a heat pump, whether it's a mini split, ducted,
Okay.
centrally ducted system. There's even ducted mini splits, but you're right, they are the most efficient out there. That's interesting that they're harder to finance. I'm curious now why.
Duke Energy wasn't doing rebates on mini splits, but they were doing rebates on conventional heat pumps, so.
Interesting.
But this is something different.
Right, that doesn't have to do with financing, though. There's financing for these products, and the market is widely available. Duke Energy doesn't offer a rebate for anything that's not a ducted system, and that's just part of their regulatory structure and business portfolio.
And I would add that the contractors are quite adept at leading you to their manufacturer's financing options. And they can kind of walk people through that, but then if you hit a moment where, credit scores and other factors prevent you from using their financing, or the costs are too great, that's when you can turn to self-help. So it's a nice sort of backstop for people who might be in the market but can't get the manufacturer's credit.
Are you doing any vetting of the contractors?
Yeah, I hope to write up a whole formalized thing and have bits and pieces of how it's done. But really what we're requiring at the moment, hard and fast, is serving Buncombe County, willing to only promote all electric equipment as part of their offerings on our website. Generally be nice and communicative to work with, that's kind of fuzzy, but, and then just wanting to be enthusiastic about electrification and joining this type of pilot program. And so far we've had a really good experience, and trying to get more contractors on board, especially ones who might be smaller, where this could really be a boost to their business. I've encountered some that don't even have their own website yet, but this, you saw maybe a tiny peek of, there's a small little contractor profile presence that we have on our website, so hopefully this will be a boost to the local economy.
Yeah, and I would add one thing to that on the contractor engagement, is these early ones really needed to take a leap of faith. And we were sitting in the room with them, or we're visiting them in their office. So the vetting is really, one-on-one for their participation. But as you go forward, anybody can sign on as a contractor, but we have a gate that doesn't allow them to post anything publicly until we go through a process to look at what they're offering and who they are.
Did you say they have to commit to only selling electric products?
On our platform. So they can't list, so obviously HVAC companies, they sell oil furnaces, gas furnaces, et cetera, but on our platform, they're only allowed to list all electric, high-efficiency equipment.
I may have missed this, but does the program include solar PV systems, or it's just focusing on heat pumps and appliances mainly?
Yeah, right now it is everything sort of behind the meter at the moment,
Okay.
so solar being in front of the meter. We do hope to open it up, and we have some solar installers on there that offer electrical services and energy audits, and they are definitely interested in being able to offer solar through the platform as well. It's sort of an ongoing conversation of what will that do if we sort of open it up? Will that dilute the focus on heat pumps and energy efficiency, energy audit, type recommendations? But every day we're talking about this.
Okay. Thanks.
Anybody else? So I just did a calculation for me to shift to a heat pump clothes dryer. Doesn't make sense because I have a brand new one that I installed. So it would take 20 years for me to get a payback. But given the enormous amount of new houses, I live in a community where there's been 100 houses built just in the last 3 years. Almost everybody I've talked with that's moved in has no idea about efficient products. The builders have no idea. The real estate person has no idea. And so they're going out and buying suboptimal equipment. And the question I have is there some way of reaching out to the new build community so that when they're making a decision, they are steered instantly to, I mean, the builder I had, he had never installed a heat pump HVAC system, nor a heat pump water heater, and which just amazed me.
This was your builder, Michael? I'm shocked.
Did he go into shock? What? Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Do you chose this builder? Or this is the builder you talked
We
to?
did not choose the
Okay,
builder.
gotcha.
It was thrust upon us
Yeah.
because of the community only allowing certain builders in to build the houses.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is that the technologies available are very much rapidly becoming way more efficient and cost-effective, and the market is just lagging behind, and I don't think that our little group or our pilot is going to solve that. However, we do intend to offer trainings and, webinars, and I was invited to bring some information down to the county permitting office, so everyone who gets like an electrical or building permit, et cetera, will be able to at least see some of the information. So, we're putting out our tendrils as much as we can, however, causing such of like a shift in the public awareness of why this is better, why this should be a consideration. That's something that we need everybody working on in all industries.
The other big market is it goes out and you instantly need a replacement, or end of life
Sure.
plans. Is that audience also engaged with you?
The audience that's only doing emergency replacements, end-of-life replacements.
Yeah, like they'll go, oh, I need a new one. They'll go out to.
So our hope is that anybody and everybody will go and make an energy profile and then realize maybe when they're at that point of failure for their HVAC system in the wintertime, they'll say, oh, electric asheville buncombe, let me see what I can do on there. Oh, the financing is only a 48-hour turnaround. Maybe I can make this work this time. So there's so many different pathways and decision points, I think.
Very exciting.
I know, but we're not going to solve it all. We're trying.
Any other questions for Sophie and Ken? If not, thank you for a truly electrifying presentation.
Yeah. It's such a wonderful service,
Yeah.
to the community. It's such a wonderful service. Thank you, Sophie and Ken.
Thank you. That takes us to item 4, new business. 4A is Greenbelt Alliance contract update with Jamie Wine. Welcome.
Chair Armand, committee members, council liaisons, staff and fellow advocates and citizens, I'm here to update you on the state of the Sustainability Office's investment in the low to moderate income field and community outreach, and that investment is strong. But there's some things that we could change, so I'm going to talk through what those things are. I'm Jamie Wine. As of yesterday, I'm the executive director of programs for Greenbelt Alliance. Myself and another partner of mine are splitting the tasks. And so we have had some changes happening at our organization, and there's some stuff I can update you on that as well. But let's get into it. Next slide, please. So from a perspective of how this all fits together, Sophie and Ken mentioned this a little bit, is that there's kind of 3 pillars here. There's embracing efficiency, greening the grid, and electrifying everything. And the investment here in Clean Energy for All is about public engagement with the Community Council. They also bring some technical expertise. Energy Savers Network, which is low-income energy efficiency and hopefully a pathway into electrification for these families. And then also the Let's Go Electric platform for market rate clients, which you just heard about. So the Community Council has been operating for a while. It used to be the EITF, the Energy Innovation Task Force, and they gathered at New Belgium, as you can see. But yeah, we have the responsibility of being a convener for this group that's working on getting everybody to 100% renewable energy by 2042. And there have been conversations about technical expectations. Electrification is a lot of new technology, it's very exciting. But there's also pieces of like, how does everybody do this? Like if you're very well off, if you're in the higher income bracket, you'll probably be electrifying your home and your electric vehicle. And this is a kind of a moment, and as an environmentalist who's been in this field for like 25 years, it's like this moment of like LEDs versus CFLs. Like we've been hawking this CFL stuff for a long time, and they're not that good. And then the LEDs come out, and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I feel like electrification is kind of like that, where it's like we have this really great opportunity to really up our game on the savings we can get towards our climate goals. So that's what the council talks about a lot, is like how do we do these pieces, this electrification, the efficiency, how does it all come together? And there's like 17 different initiatives. For Greenbelt Alliance, as the contractor, our effort is really focused on community outreach, going out to doing presentations at neighborhood groups, but then also Energy Savers Network, which is like two crew leaders, volunteers that go and do energy efficiency work at mostly mobile homes in Buncombe County in the city of Asheville. Next slide, please. So to focus in on the outreach that we're doing for the community council, the sustainability offices have funded a lot of events. We've been going to a bunch of presentations at community groups. We go to lots of different festivals and fairs, and it's kind of shifting through the council's guidance. We have Micah Kraus is on the community engagement committee, and she is the primary author of the plan. And so it's really cool to have professionals in the council that are able to lend that expertise to drive these plans forward in like the best possible way. And what we'd like to see is like a shift in the next year to a more topical focus around Let's Go Electric to increase adoption of this really cool tool, but also go to some smaller venues. Like these larger venues and festivals are good for visibility, but you don't get these tangible metrics of folks signing up and making changes in their own lives. So we'd like to see some shifts there. And then as Sophie and Ken mentioned, the Electric Fair is June 8th. It'd be cool to do this on a regular basis. Hopefully the plan for the rebates from the IRA will actually happen in January, like we're hoping. And the Electric Fair might be appropriate to do again and again, either every year or twice a year to kind of like keep on that track, you know? So like we can like help raise the profile of electrification, kind of like LEDs versus CFLs. So that's kind of the direction that Greenbelt Alliance thinks the contract should go, and as far as outreach for the community council. So the Equity Task Force is a part of the investment from the sustainability offices, and last year, in fiscal year 23, there was a plan that was written with a group of stakeholders, and we're following that plan this year. There are 69 members, and the person that's chairing it said, wow, this is a really diverse group of diverse people. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of perspective at the table with like 9 people. So there have been really great conversations, but one of the core concerns that we need to address, but I don't have the answers now, is when your landlord soups up your place and makes it better, what's to stop them from then coming in and jacking up the rent later and kicking you out, right? So there's this gentrification element that we need to be aware of, cognizant of, and try to find some solutions to in our programmatic design and engagement to help make sure that that doesn't happen to these community members. BIPOC households are facing engagement fatigue. We are compensating them for coming to the meetings, of which they are grateful, and so that's been a really cool part of the model. And then they've said, hey, you're talking a lot. What if you just came and listened to us? What if you came to these community meetings and were part of this, genuine relationship building? So those were like the big takeaways from the Equity Task Force so far this year, and I'm excited to continue that into next year. When I was in elementary school, there'd be this slideshow with a tape recorder, and it would go beep. Did anyone else have that? Was I the only one? I feel like I was the only one. One time I'll get there, but I feel like when someone else is driving the bus, it's like, do you like do a hand signal or? Thanks, Kira. So for the scope for Blue Horizons project in the next fiscal year, some adjustments here could be like some more campaign focus outreach. So the idea is, in general, our outreach has been broad. But it'd be really cool to grab something like Electric Fair 2.0, Let's Go Electric, and then build the campaign around that. And we're doing that now around the Electric Fair and around the launch of Let's Go Electric platform. We've partnered really closely with Bright Spaces. Sophie and I actually sit next to each other at the Collider, so it's been really great. And so as this new tool has developed, it's been cool to be part of doing the marketing outreach from the Blue Horizons Project arm, where there's been all this investment already. The place where we want to go with Energy Savers Network is that we've started with efficiency, and now it'd be great to get them into electrification. And working with low-income families in electrification, there's some problematic things around financing, even good financing. There's some problematic things around like on-bill, tariff on-bill that Duke Energy is offering, where it's great, where you can match the cost with the savings, but then there's also some downsides on the back end where now your bill's a little higher, or maybe you have responsibilities you didn't realize were going to be there. And then we really do need to invest in this listening piece that has come up every meeting with the Equity Task Force so far. So some results. This is from our report this year from our measurement and verification. It's very similar to previous years. I think our savings per household has ranged between like 170 and like 200 for like the last 3 years. Most of the savings is in energy savings, a little bit of it is in water savings, and then we do blower door tests at a lot of the homes, but not all of them. I'll point out that the graph there, that's the percent savings by home. Those are each individual homes, the savings they saw for 12 months year over year. So the 12 months before the install and the visit, the retrofit, the 12 months after, that's a percent savings between those two time periods. And you'll see some of the savings are crazy good, like 50% savings on the energy bill almost on those two homes at the end. Some people spend more on energy, and so we've called them back and things have happened, like there's more occupants in the home, or maybe they thought, well, hooray, it's a bonanza, I can crank my heat. And so like there have been some cases where there's been additional education and going back and talking to those folks and being like, hey, this isn't like a free pass for energy use, like you still have to be mindful of it, that's part of the deal. So that's results from an energy savings perspective on Energy Savers Network. For outreach, we get most of our outreach through word of mouth and agency referrals. We are part of a collective called Archer, which is Habitat, Mountain Housing Opportunities. Oh no, I'm forgetting one. I'll remember later. And us, and we're doing client sharing. We're trying to bring CAO. How could I forget? Community Action Opportunities that manages weatherization money, the WAP dollars from the federal government. Anyway, so those groups we've come together to do like group client matching, where it's like, oh, well, you have the service over here that we can match them up, or they'll send them over to us because they don't have the right paperwork, but we'll take them on the paperwork that we take. And so there's this cool inter-partnership agreement with those folks, but we also take agency referrals. We used to take them from Eblin, and now we're going to work with the county to take referrals from the energy assistance recipients for the bill payment money. And then we have word of mouth from folks that are telling each other about the work. Last year was the first year we had more than 50% non-white households who were participants of the program, and part of that is we have a Spanish-speaking crew leader who helps us reach clients in that demographic. So we've seen an uptick from participants from like Poder Emma and other mobile homes in the region. Next slide, please. So some things we could do, there's some big adjustments coming from ESN, and that is following the model of sustainability investments that y'all have done in the past, where the point is we're going to seed it, we're going to grow it, and then hopefully it will take off on its own. Duke Energy Progress is now funding a lot of the weatherization work that we're doing, and so we're doing about half of our homes with funding from the sustainability offices for the county and the city, but then half of our homes are funded by Duke Energy only. And so we're transitioning into that model at the end of this fiscal year, where it'll be just Duke Energy. We think that support has been really interesting to kind of adjust to and the different requirements. But then also ways that the offices could still help, the sustainability funds from the municipalities could help, is folks that aren't in the Duke Energy Progress territory, so that's more county folks. We have an apprenticeship in the summer, who are those adorable smiling faces in the green. Everybody was like, this was the most meaningful thing ever. Like the staff loved it, the apprentices loved it, they had field trips, they also went to the recycling center, it was amazing. They said that the recycling center smelled way worse than the dump did. They were like, it was disgusting. The dump smelled way better. So yeah, that was a really cool experience for everybody. And then transitioning into this idea of how do we get folks to electrify. After we've done energy efficiency work in the Energy Savers Network, we have folks' attention and they recognize we're not taking advantage of them, which happens a lot in this population. So we provide this free service of energy efficiency, and it's a really great moment to say, hey, Let's work on electrifying your heat pump. Let's electrify your air heat and your water heat, and let's talk about your transportation. And so there's this moment for kitchen table conversations after we built this report, and I think that's one of the big strengths the Energy Savers Network will bring to partnership with Let's Go Electric and additional electrification resources, like the IRA, hopefully sooner rather than later. Is that the last slide? So I'm here to tell you the investment in sustainability is strong, and we're hoping to make a few adjustments with y'all's feedback and hopefully continue to partner into the future. It's been a good partnership.
Thank you, Jamie. Questions for Jamie?
Sounds like an amazing, I mean, I've actually followed Blue Horizon Project for a while, and what the work you all do is absolutely amazing. I did recently hear that the IRA was sending money towards North Carolina. It was like, what, 70 million or something in all of North Carolina through the IRA or something like that for lower it's overall of North Carolina, I believe, but I could have that wrong number.
I bet Bridget would know about
There's a
that.
recent award of, I think, 156 million for solar for all, which is low-income
All
solar.
of the United States.
The IRA has a number of different pots of money that are being distributed in a lot of different ways that North Carolina is going to receive. But there's,
This just came out like in the last couple of weeks. They were like, this is
yeah,
just.
we've gotten some good news in the last couple of weeks on a couple of different pots of
Okay,
funding,
okay.
is what I'm saying. So, but it's all statewide and nothing is like available today.
I hope it's good. I thought about you all, and I hope it's really good
Oh,
news
thanks.
for Blue Horizon Project.
You know, there's layers of it, like Bridget's alluding to. It's like, you know, there's the Solar for All money that's the state, and then there's like CDFI money, so community development financial institutions, about supporting finances for like the midstream of these products, so like the contractors that need lending tools to like get the stuff out there. So there's some really, it's like all these layered pieces, and it's really hard to keep track of all of it. So I don't know, I was just be like, Bridget, what happened last week? Do you know what happened with like the IRA money? Because she always seems to be really dialed in.
Like I said, there's a lot of different things that are happening, but nothing is like available right now. So I think it makes a lot of sense just to kind of wait and see how it unfolds. So we're like in the know about what's happening right now, and just know that good things are coming.
And a lot of, like, we're very well positioned.
Yeah.
To be catching this money.
Correct. We are trying to collaborate with all our partners at the state to make sure that the program that we're supporting locally can complement and funnel as much of that money into our community when it's available.
I had a question on the scope. There's been some side conversations about looking at really supporting electrification in the commercial sector. So when I read some of these recommended adjustments to the scope, particularly the one around campaign-based outreach, could that scale if different programs, so Electrify, Let's Go Electric is very residentially focused, but if partners start to pull together something that's more commercial sector focused, that outreach could probably scale depending on what programs we're rolling out. Yes.
I feel like historically, Greenbelt Alliance has been a little more siloed, where you've got the certification program for the residential on one side, and you've got these low-income services on the other side. But we have members, tradespeople that are involved in the homes building side, and they also do commercial. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to do more commercial outreach, to be able to maybe even just canvas and be like, hey, did you know these resources are available? Like, there's refundable tax credits that you can get immediately. There's rebates. There's stuff you can do at the end of the year to offset it. And I feel like people just don't really know about it because it's all coming out all at once. I would love that kind of outreach. It's a different audience, but the same kind of stuff that we've been doing.
But where you're heading, you could flex into that as things emerge.
Yeah, I think so.
So I just got a message from someone watching us on the YouTubes that they're having a hard time hearing when people aren't speaking in the microphone. So I'm just going to give another reminder for the folks at home to please speak into the
Commercial sector.
microphone. Thank you.
I have one question for you,
Okay.
Jamie. I'm curious, I really appreciate Energy Savers Network, and a good friend of mine volunteers with them. How do you monitor the savings? Are people sharing their utility bills with you?
So the savings come from, well, there's two pieces. The water is extrapolated from from Georgia Power's technical reference manual. They looked at the water savings, and we were able to use that, and also some modeling from a local contractor. So that's the water piece. The electrical piece is actual data. So there's a data sharing agreement we have with Duke Energy Progress, and we submit whose houses we worked on and what dates, and they give us 12 months before and 12 months after. The client doesn't have to sign a release for that, so we don't just get it, but it's a direct conversation with us and Duke instead of us trying to get the paper bills from the client.
Great. I think that's excellent to be able to monitor your progress.
It helps a lot. It's like, yeah. I'm wondering, like, what about the whole system? So it'd be really cool to, like, go through the partnership with the community council, go make requests like that to our Duke Energy person. It's good to have that open relationship to make that kind of progress.
Thanks. Michael?
2 questions. One, I noticed you said it's not weather corrected. Does that make much of a difference if it was?
So in previous iterations of the contract, we spent a lot of the resources were spent for professional measurement and verification from an engineer, and they were spending a ton of time doing weather correction. And so we did actually look at weather data, and we saw that actually the 12 months following was milder than the 12 months previous. So considering those savings, I would actually like mentally dial it back just a little bit, like maybe 10% or 12% of savings, because that savings was achieved just from the weather being milder as opposed to being as extreme as it was. But the investment in cost and staff time to do that depth, like for like, you know, 10 or 20 bucks per house, it was like, I mean, we're pretty close here. Yeah. It'd be better to use those resources on like going and weatherizing more homes. And so that was the conversation we had with the staff.
And that ties in with the second question. We're seeing so much in the news about Duke saying they're going to have to build more gas plants, nuclear plants to deal with the growth, mainly from, I guess, more server farms coming in the state. But it would seem this would be a logical time to accelerate energy saving programs. And I'm wondering if between BHP and GBA and the city and the county, whether a push can be made to the commission saying that even though I believe in their carbon report and Duke's integrated resource plan, they say they're doing all the efficiency that makes sense. It doesn't seem that. It seems like if you got 10 times more income to your group, it would allow scaling up more results. Has that been any discussion in any of the groups?
There's a lot there. It's really great to be at the same table as Duke, and it's in the community council. There's been a real push to all find places where we can all work together, because there's plenty of work to do. And so that's been the real focus, as opposed to being adversarial, which is how the regulatory process to me ends up seeming. It seems very adversarial, whereas this is more of a collaborative effort. And so keeping all the partners at the table is one of the values that the council is bringing. As far as there being more resources, I was just saying earlier, I don't have enough resources and I've got way too much work to do, and I feel like that's kind of just like the nature of the business right now. But I think with the IRA, more is coming. I think Duke is really interested, like through our conversations on like the statewide energy efficiency advocate call, that's like kind of separate but parallel with the regulatory process. It seems like they are continuing to make forward progress. We can always do better. I guess that's job security.
Yeah, I mean, I know that from their perspective, they get a better return on their investments for their shareholders, building plants. They don't getting efficiency improvements. But other states that have dealt with this split incentive provided differential returns on equity to the degree that they were able to show these public service benefits, which combined the climate service and equity service and pollution service. And that's been tried and presented to the commission by several experts like Carl Rabago, but it's been fought successfully by Duke. But it would seem that you could present it in a win-win rather than a win-lose, but I don't know. You're right, it's complex.
I have a lot of feelings that are aside from this professional role. I'm standing here and talking to you today about all the stuff you just said. We should talk about it over beer. But I do want to share with you a win. On-bill tariff, despite me mentioning it being problematic earlier, is a really big win for North Carolina. A lot of states are doing a pilot program for on-bill tariff, and what that is where you can finance energy-saving measures on your bill So you spread out the savings and the cost together instead of a big upfront payment up front, and it's attached to the building, not to the person, and so there's no credit check. So it opens access. It's another credit tool, kind of like the self-help stuff. It's a different credit tool, but it's another one to help increase access to these resources. So the Tariff On bill is actually a win for North Carolina, but there's more we can do. So it's we're somewhere in the middle.
Any other questions, comments? If not, thank you for an excellent presentation, Jane.
Thank you for having me.
That takes us to item 4B, new business solid waste management in the city. Alex Miller, Waste Reduction Program Manager. Welcome.
I'm so informal. Hello, everyone. My name's Alex Miller. I'm the Solid Waste Reduction Program Manager. I'm in the Public Works Department and the Sanitation Division. And I'm here to discuss solid waste management. And so overall, just wanted to go over brief what our sanitation division does in case you are unaware. We have in-house collection of residential trash, bulky item collection, yard waste and brush, and then we cover our downtown trash and recycling. We recycle out via contract with Curbside Management, which is the material recovery facility in Woodfin. We do code enforcement for solid waste. We do litter pickups via partnerships, mainly with Asheville Greenworks. We cover special events and education outreach. So just a couple stats from last year. In trash, we collected 22,847 tons. And that is from residential households and downtown and city facilities. Yes. Couldn't remember my stat. Recycling, our numbers come from Curbside, and they reported 7,920 tons. And if anyone is unaware, a ton is about 2,000 pounds. So just multiply that in your head. Bulky items, we had 4,598 pickup calls and 1,731 scrap metal appliance pickups, and that was for calendar year 2023. And then brush, 6,480 tons collected in FY23. And just as a reminder, in August, this past August, plastic bags for yard waste were prohibited for residential collection. And that has gone fairly smoothly, which is great. Ashley said that they went to the material recovery facility and was unaware that some of the plastics, I know there's so much plastics in this world that some people were putting in their bin, should not be going in their recycling cart. So we just sent out, and last month, I believe, this mailer as a helpful reminder for everyone. One, about what does go into your recycling cart. So plastic bottles, tubs, jugs, and jars. Metal cans, that includes food and liquid cans. Glass bottles and jars, and then paper. Almost all paper, mixed paper, cartons, cardboard, but there are many other things that don't go into your recycling cart than do go in. So if you're ever in doubt, do not put it in your recycling cart, please. And if you take away any message, please never put a plastic bag, any kind of plastic bag, in your recycling cart. We also have the AVL Collects app, where you can download it for free or visit the website, and you can get your schedules for your waste collection, if there's delays in our routes. And then we also use the Waste Wizard, so you can search hundreds of items and see how to best manage that item. That is also available. Another part of solid waste reduction is our food scraps drop-off program, which is in partnership with Buncombe County. So this has been going on for 3 years? 3 years. I came in after it had started. But it is going great. It is, some may say, over capacity, but we are trudging along. So at this drop-off locations, which there are 8 within the county and 6 within city limits. You can drop off your food scraps, your paper products. We do just ask if you have any paper products, you could squish them down as small as possible to reduce that volume in the carts. And there are some things that are not allowed in the carts, so anything that's not organic, do not put in the carts. And if you want to sign up and have not signed up yet, you can just go to asheville.nc.gov/compost, and then you can read all about it and sign up and register. And this is just a list of the drop-off locations. Our biggest one is at Stevens Lee, right up the hill, and that has 6 carts, and that is I would say our busiest one, but the other ones are quickly catching up, especially East Asheville Library and West Asheville Library. But yes, so it's all going great, and it just dawned on me, I could have included some stats, but if you sign up, you will get quarterly emails about our progress. So just some other waste reduction initiatives to make you all aware of. We do partner with the county for Asheville Greenworks Hard to Recycle events, one which is this Saturday at TC Roberson High School. It's from 9 to 3, and this is where you can take your difficult to recycle items like electronics, styrofoam, clean white styrofoam, cardboard, hardback books, things like that. The county also has HHW days, so there are items that are even more difficult to recycle, paints, pesticides, things of that nature, and the county offers days where they accept that. Once a month is usually the first Friday of the month. As mentioned before, we're doing the free store this week, so tomorrow is the last day to drop off donations, and then the actual store will be open Friday from 5 to 8 and Saturday from 10 to 5. So free, you can come, you can browse, you can take something. It'd be great. We are going to start doing the cart tagging initiative again, and that was previously done through Asheville Greenworks, and we are taking it over. I am taking it over. So it's just a method of communication to improve recycling contamination in residential carts. So I will be reaching out for volunteers for that. It's fun to get steps and see how everyone does in their recycling contamination. I find it enjoyable. Others may not, but it is fun. I've been working with the Harris Cherokee Center lately to improve their waste streams, divert more from the landfill if possible, kind of clear up any misconceptions that some of the patrons may have had about the trash going to one place, the recycling going to the trash, things like that. Updating their signage. I'm actually volunteering on Monday with a group from UNCA, and they're going to come and we're going to clean up the Upper Bowl after a concert there and get some data on what is up there, how long it takes, because that is one of their problem areas for cleanup. And then we also do DIY litter cleanups, mainly again through Asheville Greenworks, but we help promote that. And then we just finished the spring sweep, which we did an internal sweep downtown, which was great. And so litter cleanups help promote that.
What's HHW?
Household hazardous waste.
Thank you.
Yes. So just an update on the solid waste master plan. So first, thank you all for your support on getting this plan to fruition. So as you can see, we have our scope of work. We're working with our selected consultant right now. We are in the getting approval documents together to go to council on May 28th. And then from there, it's an estimated 16 months for completion of our phase 1. And it's broken up into phase 1, analysis and recommendations, and then phase 2, implementation. And you can see the outcomes and deliverables that will come from that plan, including analysis of our service, our routes, our growth plan, a fee study and financial structure recommendations from that, downtown waste storage and collection plan, and then city waste reduction goal evaluation and recommendations. There's also a focus on city internal facility waste reduction plan, and then also updating our ordinances. Questions? Yes, yeah, sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just downloaded the app.
Great.
Cool.
Great. Thank you.
Well, it made me wonder, I feel like we have pretty good traction with the Asheville app and pretty good utilization, and wondered, was there a conversation of integrating the things on Asheville Collects into the Asheville app so that, I mean, I don't know how many citizens are gonna have 2 municipal apps. I will, but we might get better utilization if there was some type of integration between those tools.
We can investigate that.
I mean, you already did it, it looks great, but
Yes.
I'm just wondering if like there'd been a functional reason not to. You just might get more users because there's already people, a lot of people. on the tool.
I believe, and Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, the Asheville, our AVL Collects app is coordinated with our routing tracking company, right? So they're like integrated between the two.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it.
Yeah, we would have to look into
I'm
that.
trying to give a project, y'all source your work plans very well. I just wondered if I wondered about that because we have really high utilization on the other one.
It does direct people to the Asheville app if they have a collection problem. But as far as that tool, it's more about, it's your pickup day.
Yeah.
I've got a question about the compost. It's really great to hear that. It has a great involvement. I'm curious about where that compost goes and what sort of quality control on contamination happens with that, because I know I'm really strict about my compost. So I'm curious, like, if people are throwing stuff in there that shouldn't go in there, and
Yeah.
what's happening there?
Yeah, so the scraps and the organics, they go to Danny's dumpster. He's the only regional commercial composter in the area. So he hauls and processes our materials. As far as quality control, I do my best you get a welcome email, says what can go in. If anyone has any questions, they can always reach out to me, which I do get a lot of questions, even about the tiniest things. So that's another form. When I go to the sites within the city limits, I look and see what's in the carts, and then if it's an issue, I've noted it. For the most part, it's pretty not too bad on my part, but the processing quality control is a Danny's situation. And if you want to purchase his compost, you can contact Danny's dumpster.
Thank you.
Yes. And I do just want to add on, we do not provide free compost because this is a free program for residents. So in order to keep that free, Danny's needs to be able to sell the compost. So that's where we do get that question a lot as well.
I have a question. The tonnage for the bulky pickups seemed really high, and I'm just wondering, any initiatives?
So those were not tonnages.
Oh,
Those
so
were
those
pickup
pickups.
calls.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there, I don't know how, like, the condition of them, but like, talking about reducing or diverting, is there any, like, where do those items go that get picked up? Or
So
any way to, like, get them into a reuse as opposed to just going straight to the landfill?
So scrap metal and appliances, appliances are banned from the landfill, white goods, and so that goes to Biltmore Iron and Metal Company. And then our bulky items are usually like furniture, things like that, and
We will look at that during the master planning operational process because it is something that our crews have brought up before. I could never ride on a bulky truck and do that work, right? Like it would, I don't think I could do that. Break your heart. Yeah.
and it has been suggested of some sort of way to do that, just logistics, funding, all come into factor there.
I had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
For the recycling that's picked up, does Kirby keep statistics on tons that don't get recycled, especially plastic that you know, when it shows up?
So we get a contamination rate from them.
Yeah.
And right now, I believe it's hovering around 10%.
Okay.
They have the landfill receipts, that the items that don't get processed and compacted to send to vendors, they do have those receipts. So that tonnage would be available.
Okay. And then with the new plastic bag prohibition, how does that get enforced? Because I'm assuming some people didn't get the memo and they're still putting,
Yeah, so we did, just on the front end, we did a lot of outreach to make sure that as many people as possible knew about it. But if plastic bags are still being set out, they get a notice. It's a bright pink sticker goes on the plastic bags that we did not pick this up because it is in the incorrect container. And so then they have to put it in a correct container, either a paper yard waste bag or a reusable container, which highly recommend a reusable container. And then it will be picked up on their next brush collection, which is 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So usually by that time they have
figured it out?
remembered that because they don't want the brush there.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions for Alex?
Have you seen a reduction, I mean, it might not be quite big enough yet, but have you seen a reduction in the tons of trash being picked up in Asheville City with the composting facilities now open, or the composting drop-off locations now open? Or do you feel like, have you seen a diversion there?
So based on our calculations, slow, very, very slowly. But I think also comes into play is our population increase, more people, more trash. So still trying to catch up with diversion, keeping things out of the landfill. So still making small steps into that.
Very good. One more, Sophie?
Sorry,
That's
Yeah.
all sorts of wheels turning here. Have we ever considered a pay-as-you-throw system?
I think what,
That is a great idea.
I also agree.
I missed the
That is something that we are going to look at in the solid waste master plan and
Cool.
a possible pathway.
Great.
The city did look at it
Yes.
before I got here, and I'm not real clear on the specifics as to why I did not move forward, but we do have that previous study, and we'll look at it again.
I could share more.
Because I mean, to me, it makes eminent sense. I pay for the water that I use. We should just pay for the trash that I throw out. I mean, to me, it feels more, I don't know, it can incentivize people to throw
Mhm.
out less stuff, compost more, recycle more. We all know this, so yay. Glad it's on your radar.
All right.
Right.
Oh, one more.
Not a question, but I just downloaded the app as well. The Wizard, I love. I've been wondering for so long about bottle caps and plastic tops.
Like a soda bottle?
Yeah,
Yes.
and detergent and
Mhm.
all that stuff, so that was great.
Yeah.
And also, I think in the experience, Seattle has had a pay-as-you-throw for probably 30 years, as I recall, and they got extraordinarily high positive results from that
Mhm.
in the waste reduction.
Yeah, a number of cities across the country have pay-as-you-throw
Yeah.
and have seen good
It's a
results. Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that has a correlation with litter at all. If somebody doesn't want to pay, you could just,
That is a concern.
I wouldn't do that, but yeah.
It is a concern,
Illegal
yes.
dumping.
Like right on the side of Trader Joe's, there's huge waste that's going into an empty lot. Don't know who's responsible for it.
Less about dumping and more about people who don't have homes, but,
Yeah.
in that situation.
Well, thank you. It was an excellent presentation
Thank you.
again.
And I just want to take a moment for the new folks here that getting a waste reduction program manager was years in the making, and the Sustainability Advisory Committee really supported making that happen. So just an example of some of the previous work that this body has supported, and we're really excited to have Alex as part of our team.
Great. All All right, thank you. We save the best for last every time. So next is 4C, Asheville Greenworks contract update with Eric Bradford. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee members, staff. I really appreciate it. My name is Eric Bradford. I'm the interim executive director for Asheville Greenworks. And I want to give you a quick report on some of the projects we've been a part of this year. Our calendar is on the fiscal year, so it's running June to July. So this report is reflective of that. So a few areas that Greenworks partners with the city on and have been mentioned is the litter abatement through volunteer cleanup activities. Some of those projects are the Stream Keeper Project, which is a group of highly trained volunteers that work to organize cleanups, river cleanups, stream cleanups. They maintain our network of trash trouts that we have in the areas, then also the Project Trash Trout, which I'm happy to talk about at the end of this as well. We also have the Adopt a Street program, which we partner very closely with our friends from Solid Waste. As far as the waste reduction events, we've made mention of the Hard to Recycle event here. It's a very popular event here in Asheville. And then over to some of the other projects that maybe people don't really hear about often, which is the pollinator plantings and education that goes along with that. And then finally, the urban forestry side of the work. So it is quite the breadth of projects. And I would like to say before we move on to the next is our gratefulness of the city's partnership. Through these programs, we would not be able to fund the cleanups programs. This is something that our friends in Solid Waste knows. It is the hardest funds to raise for the organization. There's already a thought out there in the universe that I have paid for this. I have paid for these areas to be cleaned up, public areas to be cleaned up and maintained. So it is very difficult for our organization and my friends at Riverlink as well too, to solicit funds for these particular areas. So we are very grateful for this partnership.
Who are you?
I'm Eric Bradford, Asheville Greenworks. And so into the detail here. So Stream Keepers and Trash Trout. So our Stream Keepers program started in 2019. This was a program where we are trying to give our volunteers, our residents out here, our community, more say in their water quality. This is, as I mentioned before, this is a highly trained program. This is something that the Stream Keeper volunteers are meeting, they're meeting bi-weekly at this point and coming up with solutions for a lot of the problems that are going on in our urban streams in the area, along with what's going on our roadways and of course in the rivers themselves. So what this snapshot here shows you is basically what the Stream Keepers have been collecting themselves out of our trash trout devices. And to give you an idea, so that metal floating cage is one of our devices. We have 6 of these traps. It's in the city limits. And these 6 traps are sitting in those most urban streams, and they sit passively, and they collect more than tennis balls. This is from the photos here. But the traps are used to capture stormwater-driven trash. So as our friends from Solid Waste can tell you, the trash starts off on the side of the roads, and every time we receive a significant rain event, it is pushed into our stormwater systems, and then from our stormwater systems into our creeks, from our creeks into our rivers. And so this is our attempt to try to mitigate some of this trash before it does get in. I can tell you it is fun to have a river cleanup, but it is not sustainable because you cannot have someone in the river 24 hours a day trying to mitigate this trash. You cannot do this. So this particular trap does allow us to be able to catch a significant number of trash. So out of those 6 traps in the area, our Stream Keepers have collected this particular fiscal year about 639 pounds, which, for each of those traps is about 100 pounds per traps they're collecting, which is around, 2.8 pounds of trash per day that is not getting into the waterways. And that seems like a low number, but when you think of the weight of an empty plastic water bottle, it weighs 19 grams. So if you've been involved in a cleanup at some point, you know that is quite a volume. That's styrofoam, that's plastics, that's plastic baggies. It's all of those sort of bits and items that's going to, once it gets into the waterways, it's going to continue to photodegrade, break into smaller pieces and become someone else's problem. And that is something the city of Asheville has taken very seriously. They do not want to contribute to water quality issues downstream. We also help maintain the Adopt a Street program with our friends from Solid Waste. So Adopt a Street is a program where you can adopt a city-maintained street, And what you get is you get support from both the Greenworks and the city of Asheville. So you'll do your cleanup. You use our supplies and support to do your cleanups, and then you report your data into us, and then the city is kind enough to print you a sign for your road that tells who is responsible for this road. But most importantly, they come through and they pick up the trash afterwards. It's a wonderful service for the area, and this year they've collected 5,400 pounds, and these are just Adopt a Street volunteers. These are persons in your neighborhood who's going out, taking their morning walk, picking up the trash, and reporting this data. This is a really nice program that really dovetails in with our good friends at Riverlink, who are trying to keep that trash from reaching those storm drains as well too. So they have a very nice program of folks who's active, monitoring those storm drains and trying to get it there before it gets into the storm drain itself. So it's a really great partnership. You look here, you know, these are the amount of times that they're spending here doing this. 46 hours in a year's worth of cleanups is nothing. This is a tiny amount of time that persons are putting toward this. That's what we're looking for, is efficiencies. How can I make this project bite-sized? Something that someone can do that's not a huge commitment in time. Oh, this is going to take me 15 minutes. That's fantastic. You know, I can work in 15 minutes to take one of these cleanups. So this has been a really wonderful program for us, and it's giving our residents a chance to get out there and actually see what's going on.
What does trash trout mean?
So Phil asked, what does trash trout mean? It means nothing. It is a catchy name. It's alliteration. And for us, you know, we had to try to figure out something other than litter trap, you know, for it. And so we came up with a silly name to hopefully for people to be able to remember the trap. So the litter abatement through volunteer cleanup activities, so the numbers on here are up from last year's report, except for the pounds of trash recovered. So if you're looking here at the number of cleanups, now this is only in the 46 square miles of the city limits. So this is the number of cleanups that's happening. So far FY 24, up until I think when I mailed the report over, we had 173 cleanups, and so these are persons going out and cleaning up in the city limits. It's about 1,000 volunteers, and they recovered about 15,000 pounds of trash. That is down over last year's numbers, and we have a hard time with that. We don't know if that's a win or did we lose? But you know, as you can see here from the numbers, it seems like maybe we had a little less trash on the side of the roads, because those cleanups, as you can see, there's a lot of cleanups going on. They're not seeing the trash. So it's a good bad number sometimes. You know, we've often said that we want to be put out of business. You know, we don't want to be an organization that has to continue to plant the trees and clean up the trash. We want us to be in a place where we don't have that need. So hopefully we're headed that direction.
What's the geography for those cleanups that was on the last slide?
So inside of that 46 square miles, it ranges. So what we do is we actually keep a report, which I'm happy to share with you, Maggie.
Like 46 square miles, the city?
Correct, just the city limits.
Well, in 2024, we put like $650,000 to a cleanup contract for hazardous waste, so the city invested in significant contractor resources, so it could be that the work was getting done elsewhere.
Oh, that's incredible to hear. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, yeah. So this ranges from those most urban spaces that are going right to the river all the way out into communities. So we have a bit of what we call project by priority. So we know of some of these spaces that are heavily trafficked or heavily trashed. So those areas do receive a little bit more care. But then this also dips into neighborhoods that maybe it's not catching someone's eye so easily. The Hard to Recycle event, this has been a fun project since we took it over in 2011. This is a project where we take our collection event of sponsors, we move them around to different spaces in Buncombe County. We set up for one day and we collect items that would be a little bit harder for our residents to recycle. So it's going to be electronics, televisions, batteries, styrofoam, shredded paper, books, and select TerraCycle items. And so
Is that going to be on the 18th?
So he's asking where's the next Hard to Recycle. It's going to be actually at AC Reynolds High School. It's not TC Robertson. It's going to be at Reynolds High School. So this is going into East Asheville, out into Fairview. So that'll be the next event. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I do recommend coming around 12-ish. That's the slowish time for the Hard to Recycle. That's a pro tip for folks. Don't come at 9 o'clock and wait for an hour to come in. You can come through, we'll make sure you get taken care of. So at these particular events, it's an enormous amount of effort to put these on. We need no less than 60 volunteers in the parking lot for 6 hours to get these events going. Talking of efficiencies, it is not as efficient as we would like for these events to be. So the long-term planning for Hard to Recycle is to consider having a location that would be open throughout the week. That way we can make this program more equitable for folks, that they can bring us items throughout the week instead of having to hang on to it and make that hard decision. I don't have the space for this. I need to throw this away right now because there's nowhere else for this to go. So in consideration for our programs over the next 5 years is trying to find a location to establish a space that can collect the items throughout the week, and this could open up even more items that could be identified for collection as well. Some of those harder to collect items that could be on our list. So far, we're at about 76,000 pounds of waste that's coming in. It's hard to calculate semi-loads full of styrofoam because it's mostly air, so we just basically count however many semi-trailers that we're collecting of styrofoam and being recycled. But this is your hard numbers here. This is going to be the electronics, the books. This is going to be the shredded paper and the televisions. So that's that number. We have another event coming up, so this will push that number closer to 100,000 pounds for the year. So that's diverted from our waste streams. Next, please. So the Pollinator Outreach Project. So this was all really coordinated and started by Bee City USA. And so Bee City USA, I want to say it was 2014, the City of Asheville became the inaugural Bee City, the first Bee City USA affiliate. And so the affiliate came to Asheville Greenworks, and we helped to manage that project. And through that project, it was coming up with some really great programs in partnership with sustainability of how we can talk about native habitats. How can we spread the idea that we are losing these habitats very quickly to non-native species that we're filling our yards with in our public spaces. And so the leadership committee has done a fantastic job of spreading the word here, not only in the city of Asheville, but they have over 400 other affiliate cities now, which is an extremely impressive program. All these other people adopting these same programs. But for us, some of the checkoffs for us is they have the Certified Pollinator Habitat Program. This is where you can go through a process to figure out, is my garden, is it a native habitat? Can I make it into a native habitat? What are the steps that I can do for this? And you can have your garden certified. So far, 186 gardens have been certified, which is a wonderful, wonderful program. And I would also like to say that our good friends at Bee City USA Asheville have gotten so big and so busy that they're actually now moving out from underneath Asheville Greenworks as a program and becoming their own fiscal agent. So that's an incredible growth by this team who has worked so hard to commit to these projects. So you're going to see some announcements soon as far as how that they're really flourishing and taking their programs to the next level. Some of the other projects, part of this as well too, is maintenance of the RAD habitat, which is if you go down into the Wilma Dykeman Greenway, you'll see a couple of those habitats have been established. There's some signage on those, and they do, through us, manage volunteer days to help maintain those particular spaces. And then also partnering with the city to identify public spaces that could be converted over, because really the goal for us is to reduce how often that maintenance is having to mow these spaces. Is there something else they could do with these spaces? Can they convert it to something that's lower touch and much more beneficial to the environment around it? Next, please. And one of our exciting programs is our urban forestry program, which is growing as well too. So some of the pieces of the puzzle you've heard of is Tree City USA. So the city of Asheville was just achieved its 45th year as Tree City USA. So congrats to the city of Asheville for managing that program all these years. It's a wonderful program through the Arbor Day Foundation. The Urban Forestry Commission, which sits as an advisory commission to try to support the city as they're moving through the decision-making process with trees and its urban forestry. The Asheville Greenworks, formerly Quality Forward, was one of the founding members in '78 for that particular commission, and we're happy to say we're still serving to this date. We hold one public tree adoption event each year, so maybe some of you have taken advantage of this and picked up a native tree from our nursery. This behind you here is a photo of our native tree nursery located in right on the edge, West Asheville, right there at the Buncombe County Sports Complex. So we grow about 4,000 trees there, and then we make those available to Buncombe County residents. All native trees, all different types of species, so that we can try to put out that diversity of native species back into the landscape, because a lot of times we're seeing the same species over and over and over in someone's yard. And so we're trying to get that genetic diversity back in there again. And then we have a very quiet program that we do not advertise. It is our targeted neighborhood giveaways. We have been identifying areas of Asheville that are desperately in need of tree canopy. And it's no surprise to anyone that sustainability has been a great partner with this, talking about the Climate Justice Initiative, is mostly these are those historically redline neighborhoods who were underdeveloped over the years. And so we are working very quietly with these neighborhood associations to get those trees into those neighbors' hands and make sure they feel supported through this project. So that's been a very exciting project for us this year. I think we're at our goal of 400 trees into targeted neighborhood giveaways and 1,000 trees with the adoption event. So both very exciting for us. That's it for that, and I would like to open it up to questions for anybody.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, right here.
Just want to say, you do such great work. You were the first group I joined when I moved here, and I've also volunteered for that program. I just think it's spectacular. One of the questions I have, I know that we're talking Asheville, but do you work with the county as well? I have a bicycling route that I do 30 miles along the river out to Marshall. It is so littered with trash all the time. I can't believe it. And I keep thinking about just doing it myself, but I'm wondering, do you have any program?
Absolutely. So this program is both the city of Asheville and Buncombe County and beyond. So we don't turn anyone down. If anyone comes to us and they're looking for support, we try to help them be that next thing that they may need. Is it supplies you need? Is it a pickup assistance? Is it more persons that you need to help you get this through? So we try to support this. And thinking about Highway 251, Riverside, all the way out to Marshall Highway, we know why it's littered like it is. I mean, it's the corridor out to solid waste. It's going out to the landfill. And, House Bill 2 that was passed in 2013 loosened up the rules about what you could transport, what machine could transport trash. We eliminated DMV as well, too, and we removed the contract for Department of Corrections to do the cleanups in 2017. So you're starting to see this trash, because now enforcement is lacking. Now you can have a vehicle of almost any kind that's pushing trash out without enforcement. And then you're going to see this on those heavily targeted areas. I mean, it goes back to our list of projects by priority. Obviously, that road is a priority, but it's also one of the most dangerous. You can talk to our friends at Riverlink about that. One of the most dangerous roads to clean up in the area. Ask any cyclist about that particular road. It is something that we do entertain and we do speak to groups about, and we try to funnel them to the spaces in town that are of most need as well, too. We also take more complex and quiet groups of folks out too as well to do cleanups. We don't just take groups of kids and throw them out on the side of the road somewhere. We used to.
Take my kid and do that.
Let me think about that, Councilwoman. I'm going to say no to that one, but yes, thank you so much for your comments. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Well, thank you everyone for your
I
time.
did have one.
Oh, yes, Chairman, yes.
Yeah, well, thank you for an excellent presentation. With regard to the pollinator program, do you have public lands in the works right now that you have planned pollinator habitat?
Absolutely. There are county projects that we're working on, but we're also working on one with the city as well, too. So there are several spaces that we're looking at to try to take that public space and try to convert it over from being mowed every week to pollinator habitat. So two of those larger spaces in the county you may be familiar with one is adjacent to the Buncombe County Sports Complex. It's next to the Warren Haynes community off of Sand Hill Road. It's about 6 acres. And so right now it's being mowed. It's being mowed every 2 weeks. It's quite an expense to them to mow this huge area, but it's also in the floodway. So there's not a lot of infrastructure the county can put in there. So this is that conversation. Can we help you move this over to a pollinator habitat instead of a monoculture of grass? And then also maybe a nice footpath for the neighbors so that they can be involved in this as well. So that's one there. We actually have one at the sports park as well. It's on a very steep slope that we're looking at, because right now it's really difficult for the county to maintain it. They have to, basically put on golf shoes to try to get up and down it to weed eat it. And so how do you do this? Let's put in species that can tolerate this and a little less care.
Great, and one of the reasons I bring this up is we have a stormwater and green infrastructure working group, and we're looking for opportunities to work with the rainfall that falls on the land. What I've been saying is plant the rain, then plant the plants. So you have sort of a win-win in terms of stormwater and also pollinator habitat. And wondering if there's an opportunity for us to talk with you or whoever is in charge to see if, before you implement a pollinator garden, there are opportunities to harvest the rainfall that falls on the land.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say let's reach out to Phyllis Stiles. She's the chair emeritus right now for B-City. And obviously, we're going to partner with them as well, too. We're usually the heavy lifting side, the equipment, the tools, the volunteers, that piece of the puzzle. So yeah, so Phyllis Stiles for that. I'll try to reach out to you, Tim.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody at home as well.
Okay. No, you're okay. I don't know, were there?
I did have a quick question, but I was just curious, do you, with the pollinator garden, do you just focus on areas of grass, or do you also focus on areas of invasives? Or will you tackle kudzu and knotweed and all that?
Yes, that's the $64 million question. So with, we try to replace those areas that we're working. And so the unfortunate piece is if we're working in a public park somewhere, so we've done a lot of great projects over the years. So let's take Avon Park, it's in East Asheville. They're trying to recapture an area that was covered in invasive plants. Knowing that the city doesn't have a tremendous amount of funds and time, one of the things that we recommended was we'll bring the volunteers, we'll remove the invasives, we're going to grass the area for 3 years if you mow it to try to burn out the invasives that are still living in the ground. We got to break the weed seed cycle. Once that weed seed cycle is broken, then we can look at, let's make this a beneficial space. Because the idea of herbicides or having volunteers out there on a monthly basis to try to reclaim these sections, it's too intense. And so sadly, we do have to go for the devil we know, which is grass. We know we can eliminate it after a few years after we've broken that cycle. So I'm happy to speak to you about this and talk about, how is it that we're managing these spaces that we can't have a huge amount of high touch afterwards. Yeah? Yes, Mike?
With that process, are all the certified pollinator gardens go through Greenworks, or is there other groups?
So our friends at B-City, now that they're moving into their own program, is going to be going through them. And so what we'll do is we'll route all of those. They're actually the experts on this. So we were leaning on their expertise this entire time. And so right now it's mostly private gardens at this moment, but there is the option to talk to about public spaces as well too. Yeah, we're just trying to be that support structure so that someone who's trying to get into this and say, what do I have in my yard? Is this native? It's probably not, but we'll help you get there. Anything else? All right, thank you, folks.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Anarch, yeah. All right, and I guess I'll give a shout out to myself. I'm one of the 186 gardens, and I have a yellow Greenworks sign. Thank you. And I think Steve Barron does as well. Well, we've made excellent time today, folks. That takes us to public comment. Are there any public comments?
Anybody wishing to give a public comment? We did not receive any online or via voicemail ahead of the meeting.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? Bill, any comments? And if not, meeting adjourned?
Thank you, Ron, Tim.